Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Roll20 Presents Dungeons & Dragons, Baldur's Gate, Descent into Avernus. Hello, welcome. It's nice to see you. That's all the warm-up time we have is just saying the title of the show.
It takes so long.
That's it. It's just, we have a limited window, and there's like 18 syllables just in the title of the game. So
that's a lie. That's not the only warm-up time we have.
I mean, it's getting there. We used to have all this time in the beginning. We used to have all this time at the end. We could just be lazy.
Oh yeah, back when we had a 4-hour show.
The schedule is so packed. There's so much stuff going on. There's stuff before us. There's stuff after it.
It's true.
It is important to get a little bit warmed up though, and kind of get ourselves ready for role playing.
I made sure to do my stretches before.
Good. That's good.
Before any exercise, whether it's just lifting a weight or punching a zombie in the face, you got to make sure to stretch.
Yeah.
I mean,
gotta do your calisthenics.
That's also how I prepare is I just mentally imagine exercising to warm up the muscles of my brain so that
no, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Even imagining exercising, you would probably hate.
I can imagine exercise. Look, I'm imagining lifting an airplane over my head right now. I'm so strong and cool.
Dragon hoist, I guess.
That's true. Dragon hoist was a good exercise warm up. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, lifting imaginary things over your head. Running from place to place.
I just turned my heater up really, really high, so it's just warm.
So I have one anecdotal thing to throw in before we progress, and that is that if we had the sleep spell like second edition has the sleep spell, I'd use it all the goddamn time.
I mean, it would be dangerous for any person to be granted any kind of magical ability because I don't know. It seems to me like it would just make everybody evil.
The thing about the sleep spell in second edition that I have found out through playing more Baldur's Gate recently is that when you hit someone who is magically asleep, they don't wake up.
What?
So it's just a death spell. You just go, pack of gnolls, they're all asleep. Now they're all dead. Tape their heads in with quarterstaves.
Is he looking at the? Oh my God, you are.
You better believe
Adam
I'm looking
just
that
pulled
shit
out
up.
the second edition Dungeons and Dragons text for those of you listening.
It smells like thrift stores and cigarettes.
It only works on hit die less than a certain amount, like less than 3 or less than 6 or something. But
there used to be
brutal.
There used to be a thing.
Brutal.
We used to do this at my old Dungeons and Dragons game in high school, where if you picked up the Dungeon Master's Guide and you turned it over and you shook it and no weed fell out, you would gain 100 experience points.
Oh my God.
Suffice to say that almost never happened.
Beautiful.
On account of our Dungeon Master.
I believe that Adam and I were kind of talking about the what if we actually had when we were watching Westworld, it was like, what if this was actually real? Would you go black hat or white hat? And I want to believe if I was put in the situation that I would be able to live out all of my evil fantasies, but I think that I'm just too nice. And if I could actually in real life be in a situation where it's it's fine, there's no consequences. The people that you shoot aren't actually going to die.
I think
even though they look like people, I would still probably not be able.
Well, I think that's part of the point of the show and that whole concept in general, right? If it looks like a person and talks like a person and thinks like a person, do you still treat it like a toaster?
I LARP, so.
Do you think that you could
LARP with people, not robots? What if
what
if all the orcs in the LARP were biologically engineered robot people that you knew could feel things?
Why would you even ask me this question, Adam?
No. I mean,
I think what I would do.
I think
but this is the thing is you know that the orcs hurt when you stab them. They feel pain.
No. I think it's more if you were in that same LARP, but you had guns that made it look like when you shot someone, they actually bled and they lied down and pretended that they were hurting in the same way.
Of course you'd still do it then.
My imagination provides that.
Yeah, well, no, but the point of the whole thing is that you are hurting them, that they are people. That's the point of the show, right? Is that the illusion is fake because we decided that they're not people, but we programmed to feel pain and then we hurt them.
Well, no, because there's a lot of instances where they'll like cut the guy's head and he's just like sitting there.
There's a big difference between Westworld as it is theoretically presented as a theme park for fun times and Westworld as it is done in that it's trying to make you think about shit, right? Like it's different. Like
totally.
It's two different things, right?
Yeah, well, like if they made a Lord of the Rings LARP camp with robot orcs, they would not make the orcs be like, "Ow, my children in the village, please don't kill me."
No, they would. Like that's the whole point. Like if you shoot someone and they just stand there and like that's fine, then that's not not what you want.
But this is the difference is between acting an emotion and feeling it. They would make orcs that are like, "Ow, my arm, it hurts." But they're not actually experiencing any traumatizing behavior. They're just going through a script.
Yeah.
Well, but like that's the point. Like they make several times in Westworld, will they be doing the analysis part and they'll literally just like stab them and the robot doesn't react at all. Like the point is that the pain that they're feeling is made up.
Routing back all the way around to the original question, I would live out my evil fantasies, obviously. Yeah. I already do it a lot.
So you'll have to, unfortunately, you'll have to live out those evil fantasies with a different variant of the sleep spell because in Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition, slapping or wounding awakens affected creatures.
Yeah,
but normal noise does
Baldur's
not.
Gate, they definitely do not wake up.
Yeah, they definitely don't. Yeah.
It's pretty fun. Pretty good.
So you're digging it. I mean, I know how much you love Baldur's.
It's very effective. I just finished the like challenge dungeon for Baldur's Gate 1. Durlag's Tower. It's kind of like the post game stuff that you would do, but I did it before post game. So I don't know.
Is it more difficult or is it like, does the story lead in that direction or is it kind of just like you can wander around and wander?
Yeah, no, these dungeons, and correct me if I'm wrong, but these dungeons are just purely tacked on to give you like extra challenge stuff to do.
So Durlag's Tower was added, I think, with the Swords Coast DLC, like when that was originally released. And it's like extra challengey, super strong enemy stuff with a little bit of story thrown in there, but it doesn't matter to the story.
Right. It's like it was more inspired by like Icewind Dale, right? Because Icewind Dale has a lot of that. Where it
pretty much is like you liked Baldur's Gate, you like playing that game. Here's some more for you, person who knows how to play Baldur's Gate. Here's some more, kind of.
It's fascinating to me how the narrative design of Dungeons and Dragons adventures has shifted over time. Because early adventures, like especially the basic ones, and Dave, you've had some experience with this with the old school adventures stuff, right? But these old versions of the adventures, they were a lot more like video game challenge dungeons where they were like, there's not really any context. Like you're here because you want to fight monsters and get treasure. You want to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Here's some stuff. But if you watch them over time, and Ravenloft is really and the original Ravenloft is a really big like tipping point where it's like, these are actually more like small novels. They become more like choose your own adventures and less like here's an environment, I don't know, go wander around.
I don't know, stab the things that live there, I guess.
Yeah, like the original Tomb of Horrors doesn't really have a backstory beyond a lich died and he made a tomb and he kind of lives in it. So have fun. Yeah, I guess.
Mad Mage is the good example with current like 5e stuff. It's like Mad Mage is a gigantic dungeon that you can do whatever you want, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It is interesting though, seeing those two design styles kind of like separate, where it's like we justify the dungeon with some story versus kind of more here is a story and it's got some mechanical things you interact with as you move through it. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think also there's some interesting design based around like at least I don't know if this is like, it doesn't feel current, but it feels like the way things used to be, which was you play the game, whatever the game is, like Baldur's Gate or whatever video game.
Yeah.
And then when you get the expansion pack is 8,000 times more difficult than the game was. And it's always that way. Like Brood War was a little bit like that. Like I'm trying to think of other good examples, but it seems like when you put more content into an older game, Beyond the Dark Portal in Warcraft 2 was the most bullshit like buildup of like difficulty that has ever existed in a game. Like it's so fucking ridiculous.
Well, so okay, so that's a good. We can go around the horn. This can be a nice warm up question. favorite DLC for a video game, and then bonus points, most disappointing DLC for a video game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't have to answer the bonus question if you can't think of one, but
Horse armor.
Yeah. So,
I think I got
Blue
it.
Jay, do you know your answers? Let's start with you, Blue Jay. What do you think?
I don't have a ton of like experience with DLC stuff, but I would say that my like, oh my god, this is so great DLC moment was probably I don't think it was official, the Star Trek mod for Stellaris.
Oh yeah.
I think that was just like, oh my god, yes, like I can have context for all of these like empires and like other than that, like most of the DLC I've played or used was like Sims packs and stuff, which is great, but like I don't know if it counts. I haven't played a ton of RPGs that had DLC, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit, right? There's the like horse armor that you had to buy and nobody else could see, that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Witcher 3 Hearts of Stone also.
Dave, what do you think? Good. What's top and bottom DLC?
Top tier DLC, bottom tier DLC.
Yeah, I'm going through all games that I really love that have different kinds of DLC like that. Best DLC for a game that I actually like.
Right.
Jeez. It's probably actually no, I do know what it is actually. My favorite DLC for a game is the final DLC for Dark Souls 3.
Oh yeah.
Because it actually ties all the games together.
Yeah. And that's cool. I like when they do that.
Ring City is a good pick for sure.
Ring City is really good. And it has some interesting bosses. Gale was awesome, but it also has some crap. I mean, they will do. Most disappointing DLC. Not picking the low-hanging fruit stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have one off the top of my head. No,
that's all right.
That's fair.
I'm gonna keep looking.
That's probably for the best that there isn't one that you're like, I wish I had never bought this.
Yeah. It's normally the base game. What
do you think, Lauren? You got a top and bottom?
I would go with the Citadel DLC for Mass Effect because it's like the emotional denouement. But I would also arguably it was simultaneously one of the more disappointing ones because it is narratively inconsequential.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's emotionally very poignant, but it's like entirely narratively pointless, which is sort of interesting because it doesn't change anything in the game. I haven't played a lot of DLC, so I don't necessarily have one.
I have a really hard time. Like I'll often
I just don't
I'll often play stuff as soon as it comes out, and then when the DLC comes out, I'm like,
Oh no, current most disappointing one was the Assassin's Creed DLC storyline that I literally gave up on the second episode where they force you to have a baby, and I was like, I'm out.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
They're like, it doesn't matter, your character gets pregnant. I was like, well, and we're done here.
Goodbye.
What do you think, Elf? What do you think for you?
So I think best DLC of all time is like really hard.
It is very hard, yeah. But just it doesn't. I mean, they don't win anything.
My heart is currently in the space. I'm gonna go for throwing a ball for Baldur's Gate 2.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just super cool. There are not many stories that end, like D&D stories, at least. I don't know about like other stuff. There's plenty of it, but there are not many stories that end with you like on a rampage through hell. Like speaking of, and like choosing to ascend the throne of godhood or not, and like it's just very epic. Throwing a ball is super cool. And it's epic level D&D, which is really interesting because you don't usually get there, right? Like who's the level 27 fighter? No one ever, so that's pretty fun.
And it's scalable on a computer in a way that it's not scalable in tabletop. Like you can have a level 27 battle in a computer game where all the math is happening very quickly that would take way longer to do.
The writing and the villains in the Baldur's Gate franchise as a whole are all so good.
Pretty good,
they're all so good. And then most disappointing, anytime a Total War game comes out and the extra blood and gore is $3, fuck you.
That's so dumb.
It's a total war game. There should be blood in it. Just bump the rating up. I get it. You want to be teen, but you got to be mature. It's fine.
Didn't Dawn of War do that too? Like they had some kind of like blood pack that came out, I think, for like $6 or something, and it was like alternate gorier animations for chaos stuff.
Yeah.
That's so stupid. Just so that they have a lower rating, like they can't even make it like an optional, like just click this button.
There's
and get more
legal
gore.
things if you sell in international markets as well.
Well,
but
have you
don't
seen?
know
I
whether it's-
follow some artists on Instagram that post alternate card art for Magic the Gathering for China. Like, because you can't. I think they censor like skeletons and skulls and stuff in China heavily. So like Rotting Regisaur is the one I was thinking of. Somebody posted an alt art for that was less skeletal and more like zombie. Yeah. I'm gonna limit my favorite and my best and worst DLC just to 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, okay.
Because anybody can talk about video game DLC. So
yeah, okay.
Best 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons DLC, Faiths and Avatars, no question.
Yeah.
Maybe very close second would be the Psionics Handbook. Worst. It's a tie between Skills and Powers and Combat and Tactics. They're both fucking stupid and terrible, and they just like woof. Oh boy, they're bad. If you ever wanted your D&D game to have 12 stats instead of 6, and you wanted to add a ton of additional BS to the game that just shouldn't be there, check out Skills and Powers, Combat and Tactics, and Spells and Magic. They're all really bad. Yeah, you think it's fun to min-max now. Wait until your dexterity is split between balance and agility.
No.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time arguing about relative versus absolute attractiveness in D&D because of like Skills and Powers.
There's only one additional stat that D&D needs, and that's, you remember that game you made up while you were playing Conan?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the only one. Yeah.
I will say this. The addition of a luck stat is actually pretty fun. I like that in games. I like games where I can just roll a thing and be like, I don't know, your character is lucky, so you have a higher chance of this random thing occurring. Yeah. But all that stuff aside, DLC or otherwise,
Rampage Through Hell.
We have a Rampage Through Hell to attend to, I believe. So
yeah, we just met a hag lady.
Yeah. So when last we met our heroes, we were in a big pile of junk. I believe the name of this big pile of junk was Fort Knucklebones. I think that's the same. You were brought here by Lulu, who remembers stopping here and getting some kind of help or something. I've added Elturel. And I've added Mad Maggie's to the map.
Oh, they're so small.
Yeah. Elturel's there. Mad Maggie's there. And
you put like a circle around Elturel, it blends in.
I mean, no. Like
okay.
You're also never going to go back there, so don't worry about it.
Spoilers. I thought we'd go back and save everybody. Fine.
I mean, you don't have to go back to save them.
We just need to unhook all the gigantic chains and let it float back up to wherever.
Like a beautiful gray balloon.
Yeah, like a beautiful...
floating into the distance. Goodbye, Elturel. Goodbye. And then everyone on it died.
Whatever.
So
mission accomplished either way. We don't have to deal with it anymore.
And that's really what matters. That's why Frodo took the ring to Mordor, so he wouldn't have to deal with it anymore.
I mean, I think it was so that all of Middle Earth didn't have to deal with it anymore.
That's true, because they're all arguing. He's just like, I'll freaking do it. Whatever, guys.
Forget this. I'm out.
That's pretty much what happens.
I mean, you're not wrong. So, yes, you've arrived at Mad Maggie's, and I think probably what she has done when you've arrived, we'll do that thing where the beginning of the episode cuts to sort of the first thing that's happening instead of just cutting right back into where we were. So I think that we start inside Maggie's house. We're inside a little like hut. most of the time when we envision like the home of a creature like Mad Maggie, we think of like a witch's hut, right? A Baba Yaga hut with like a big cauldron and herbs and stuff hanging there. But remember, Mad Maggie is a hag by way of like 1970s motorbike like culture. So she's like a biker mama. She's got gears and chains all hanging from the inside of her house. It smells like burning and motor oil. She has like any of the clothes that she has are either like leather aprons for working on her machines.
So this is Burning Man.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking there's like a Hell's Angels like gathering that I'm thinking of, and she's like some like old Hell's Angels like old lady, and and so she's got like long gray hair that's all like ragged and sort of tattered, and it's got bits of like motorcycle stuff hanging in it, little bits of metal and charms and what have you. And she's invited you inside and is pouring everybody. Oh, did everybody get moved? Yeah.
Oh my God, we totally did.
You got shuffled. That's okay.
What happened?
I'll play Bryn.
Yeah, everybody got shuffled. You're
I'll
fine.
play November.
Everybody except Dave. We'll do the shuffle. Thank you, Grimlost, for. Okay, I said everybody except Dave. Okay, Dave, come back. Okay, now I think it's.
I'm trying to think.
No, Bryn, you were right, but you're okay. It's Blue Jay next.
Okay.
This is a fun game. Okay, so now Lauren, and then Elf. There we go. Sorry. Perfect. Okay, everybody's back in place. So yeah, you're inside this biker hag's lair. She has the hell equivalent of like a neon sign, like up on the wall, like flashing. It's probably got like a picture. She's got, I mean, like really, because this adventure is kind of anachronistic. There are motorcycles and like it's a bit Mad Maxy. I definitely imagine the inside of this place, like she's welded all this furniture herself. So her chairs are made out of like metal spikes and they have like big sort of like engine panels for the backing, and she probably has on her wall like a portrait of like a succubus in like a bikini cracking a beer that says like Hell Zone on it, and she's like pouring it into a glass, and like so it's just like the inside of her weird kind of like biker lady apartment. And so she's invited you in and is currently pouring glasses of some kind of foul-looking whiskey into these glasses she's got on a tray. And she turns around and she walks over and she sets them down. And Lulu is like fluttering around the room, looking at all this stuff, some of which is probably age inappropriate for someone like Lulu.
I mean, how old is Lulu?
We don't know, but she acts like she's about 5. Yes, exactly. Yeah, the bottle of whiskey has a turkey on it, but it's a hell turkey. Yeah. So she places it down and puts glasses in front of everybody, and she says, "Well, none of you look like you're from around here. You come down from that city?"
When she says like none of you look like you're from around here, November like perks up a tiny bit because like I'm exhausted, but I'm just like, yeah, that's right. I don't look like I belong in hell. Like does the like side eye at Lulu.
Yeah,
No,
Lulu doesn't. Lulu doesn't notice.
You look like you belong like 3 or 4 levels down from here.
Oh, got it.
Here, no, but it's fine.
Well, like somewhere first. We didn't just stop up there.
Yes, not initially.
And
It's a process.
She nods and she says, my boys have been saying there have been people trying to escape. And she grabs from a jar that she has on the counter. She grabs a worm and feeds it to one of the 2 these big black birds, the big crows that have been sort of hanging around. One of them was on her shoulder when she came up. You've seen the others floating around. And she hands one and he snaps it up and eats it and kind of like pecks at her for more. And she's like waves at him like, "Yeah, don't be greedy, get out of here." And she says, when the city first showed up, I saw people falling like rain off the sides. It was delightful. We don't get a lot of weather down here, or guests for that matter. And she looks over at Lulu. and then back at you. So,
You
what brings you
maybe
to
say that you praised slightly as they began to fall with a specific non-realms delineated prayer word.
Yeah, she puts on her favorite song. It's Raining Men, and then everybody dances. And,
That's
yeah.
the one.
She used to be a disco
that's
singer. So she, so she says, what brings you to my junk pile? You looking for parts? You don't have the look of scavengers.
Initially, we were brought here because Lulu said she knew your people.
Particularly the two bird
Kenku.
creatures.
And when you land on the plains of a hellscape, you take whatever direction can be given to you.
Because it doesn't make sense with a map.
And she turns and she looks at Lulu, and Lulu stops and turns and looks at her, and Lulu says,
I have memory problems.
and Maggie nods and she says, happens to the best of us, kid. Maybe I could do something about that. And she, with one gnarled hand covered in prison tattoos, she picks up the glass, one of the glasses of whiskey, and she downs it, and some of it dribbles out the side of her mouth, and she like wipes it off on her hand, and she says, I'm gonna need to spend some time in my workshop. Why don't you have a look around, but stay out of the garage. Otherwise, she gestures.
Sorry, to not be going in a specific room, we need to know which one that is, because that's not a word that makes any sense to anybody in this world.
Huh?
Yeah, she squints and she says, from one of those. All right, it's the big building with all the machines in it. You don't go in there, you don't touch any of that stuff. That's my stuff.
Okay.
Fair enough.
That seems doable. And I think when she leaves, like, Bryn will turn to November, like, do you need to rest? How are you feeling? Like, puts like a hand on your forehead.
Frankly exhausted. I mean, I've done a lot of traveling. I walked all the way from Icewind Dale to Baldur's Gate, so this should be no problem.
There's a certain...
But it's been a big problem.
Miasma here, a feeling. That might be what it is.
Sucks to your asthma.
Sorry, what? You think it's magic? Do you need me to dispel something?
It's not magic in that sense, I don't think.
Weirdly, no one has ever attempted to dispel an entire plane before. It's quite simple, actually. So, Srova, you cast Dispel Magic, and Avernus disappears. The end of the adventure. Good job,
No,
everybody.
you can't cast it at high
So it's
enough
like when
level.
you're trying to work out whether something is a spell or a spell-like effect, so that you know what things work on it.
Is it magic or a magical effect?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
I think it's just the heat and the stench and all of everything.
The overwhelming presence of evil.
What?
Maybe.
Bryn just sort of shrugs.
The overwhelming presence of evil.
She was there while we were up on the surface as well.
It's worse down here. You know, evil sinks instead of heat.
Bad.
Heavier than air.
Well, okay, no, hold on. Now we know, because of the scientific work of CCR, we know that a bad moon rises. Ergo, evil must be lighter than air. So the lower you go, the better things get.
Yeah,
yes.
But why do
Science.
bad things come from the fog? Because that does sink.
Honestly, if
Right? Witches
all
are
of
evil
this-
and witches float. Right? We can Sir Bedivere our way through this. No problem.
if all of this exhaustion and what have you is because I don't belong down here, then I suppose that's a good thing.
Except that you'll be
also
tired all the time, and therefore it's a terrible thing.
I'll get used to it. I think.
Sure you will.
I hope. I'll get used to it.
Yeah, yes, of course.
So you want to talk to these Kenku?
You definitely will.
Those were the ones that found Lulu in her memory, right? She said that she saw them there when she made the good palace to protect the sword.
That is the thing that we're looking for.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Large
She said that it was the Kenku that found her, so
Well, then they
talking
should
to
know
them would be hopefully advised. I don't know. I
Right,
can't think
that's fine.
It does
straight.
seem to be a difficulty for them, but I imagine that's not a problem for you, Sosorovo.
But finding people.
No, the communication barriers.
Oh, yeah, sure. Sure. We'll see.
So
I
I guess
know
we
the
can
spells.
find.
I just whatever.
If I could just have like some sunglasses and a portable air conditioner.
Yeah, not so much. Okay, so you want to go out into Fort Knucklebones and look around?
Yeah, I
See
think
what's
so.
up? So far the inhabitants of Fort Knucklebones, known lovingly in the adventure as the Knucklebones Gang, have been you've met Chukka and Clonk, the two Kenku mechanics. You met them only briefly. You met Maggie and her enormous servant, her Frankenstein's monster. And you've met a handful of the red caps that seem to occupy this place. So as you leave Maggie's hut, and I definitely think that there's a big neon sign with an arrow pointing at it. Neon is a thing in hell, I've decided. Big neon sign with an arrow pointing at it. It says Maggie's, and it like like blinks on and off, big red letters. And so you walk out of the front door of her little house and into the yard. So big mountains of junk behind you, big shifting mountains of junk. There is the wall kind of built around the outside edge, and I guess we have some art I can remind you of. Big wall around the outside edge, blocking this place off, and then the big mountain behind you, behind the piles of junk. So, yeah, you walk out and you want to go look for Chukka and
Clonk.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so you walk out into the workyard and you can see the various apparatuses that they use to, move junk around. There's like mine carts laying kind of scattered around this place. Yeah, so this is a great point from Chad, and this is, I think, if this isn't an intentional reference, then it's absolutely the one I've been making in my brain. The Planet of the Junkions from the 1986 Transformers movie. It's a whole planet of like miscellaneous junk.
Cool.
I definitely am envisioning that as well. So another frame of reference. So you walk out here and back out into the heat of Avernus. And and this is what you see. So I think when you go looking, you sort of wander around, keeping an eye out for them. I think the first thing you see though is you see the golem that Maggie. It's the first person you run into. You see the golem, and he is dragging an enormous, or attempting to drag an enormous cart full of metal pieces, right? Big piled up, and it's clear that this is maybe more stuff than the golem can carry. And so he's trying to pull it, and he's limping and moaning, kind of in frustration or anger.
Poor guy.
And and around him are a bunch of red caps. There's like a half dozen of them, and they're basically like teasing the golem. They're just like, "Come on, Mickey. Come on, hurry up. Let's go. This is going to take all day." And they're just like standing around him and like throwing stuff at him. And he's kind of doing the like waving them off, but not stopping to fight them because he's trying to pull this cart.
So this is like right in front of us when we get out.
Yeah, it's happening kind of like you hear the noise and maybe walk a little ways to go and see. And there's all these little like red caps standing around laughing and throwing things.
I mean, Bryn probably does a Bryn.
I was gonna say, like, can I address the red caps?
You could certainly try.
It might go a lot faster if you helped instead of throwing things.
there is a pause, right? They all kind of stop, and one of them turns around, and he spits in the dust, and he looks at you, and he says, "You got something to say to me, huh? Why don't you come over here and say it?"
Are you hard of hearing?
And he squints, and he looks at the other guys like, hold on a second. One of them gives him a little shove, and he's like, "I think she wants to fight." And he's like, "Shut up, I got this." And he hefts this big sickle that he's got, right? They've all got these big cutting sickles. He hefts it up, and there's like blood still dripping off of his hat. He says it's like wet hat, like dripping blood on him. And he walks over all like, he's got the swagger of a much taller creature. And he walks over until he's like about, 2 feet in front of you. So you got to look down, and he looks all the way up. And he, with his free hand, he pokes you in the knee, and he says, "Try and tell me what to do one more time."
I merely meant that if you're already spending the time just to stare at him, then you said it would take all day. It would be a lot faster if you just helped, right?
And
if it needs to get done.
He squints at you again like you're talking crazy. He's like, "I don't know how they do it where you're from, but the boss doesn't work. The goons do the work. And us, me and my boys, well, we're not the boss around here, but we're definitely more important than that piece of trash." He looks over, and the golem is like trying to pull the thing, and one of the other red caps has now climbed up onto the thing and is starting to like undo the wheel. Like he's basically just like using his hands to turn the lug nuts on the wheel to try to make it like fall off.
But you're not the boss.
He's like, "I'm more the boss than you are."
Maggie's the boss, right? It's got her name on it.
And he nods and he says, Yep, this is Mad Maggie's.
And
but we're her favorites. And they all nod. All the other ones nod like, yeah, we're obviously the best. Like, forget them. Like,
well, if it's only the boss who's exempt from working.
Hey, I am working. We're keeping this goon motivated, aren't we, boys? And all the other ones. And they all kind of look like the same. Like, I don't know if you ever did this as a kid where you take an apple and you like carve it to kind of look like a face. And then you let it shrivel up. And it makes like a weird little shrivelly apple doll. That's what they all look like, but they have beards.
Okay.
So they just look like weird shrivel apple dolls. And and they all look at each other like, yeah, we're in charge for sure.
Bryn sort of stands there. She stands next to November while November saying this because like she was about to like walk.
I feel like there's just a connection of like, oh, they're just being mean that November is just not making.
Yeah.
Because she's just like, this doesn't make any logical sense. And like the whole like, yeah, but like it's not logic, it's them being rude. Like she's just not thinking about it. But Bryn is probably like, obviously.
Yeah, I think Bryn sees that you're not making that connection. She was just but Bryn was just gonna go help because she's like, there's no point talking to bullies. Like bullies don't talk with words, bullies talk with actions. But she just sort of like, so she walks past. She's like, no, November's right. You can't all be favorites, and you can't all be bosses. That's not how hierarchies work. So clearly, one of you should be in charge, and the rest of you should all be working as well.
As you're saying this, you hear a voice.
And then she just goes and helps.
Yeah, no. So as you're walking when you're saying this, you hear a voice in your head.
"They're not going to listen to you. Why don't we show them true fear?"
And you can feel like Gargoth being like, "Yes, you want to scare these nerds? You want to show them who's really boss? Let me do it."
Hey Adam, I've got a very important question. Is a red cap a humanoid?
I don't know. Let me find out.
No.
I don't think it is.
I think they're Fae.
I
think so too. I think they're angry little fairies.
Yeah, they're Fae.
Nothing is a humanoid in this place. I'm never going to get to summon this specter.
Yeah, I can summon Fae, and they're Fae. They're on the list. So.
God damn it.
I'm so sorry.
Never mind. I sit back and I watch whatever bullshit is about to happen.
Yeah, so Bryn starts walking over to help, and I'm just like, I mean, I guess that's another way to.
Well, hold on. I want to see. So Bryn, Gargoth is telling you this isn't like.
Oh yeah, no, she's.
So Gargoth is like, let me do it. Let's show them who's boss.
Bryn stops. She thinks about this in a very genuine way, and she looks around and she makes a tactical assessment in that moment, which is just a rough number of like, is this the only group of red caps, or
hell no.
are there
no, there's lots.
hundreds of other ones? Yeah. So she pauses. She looks
I
around.
don't know that
and
there's
she's like,
hundreds, but there's definitely more than like the
There's way more
5
than-
down here. Yeah.
She's like, we might be able to, and she says this out loud because she doesn't care. We might be able to terrify the pants off these idiots, but I don't think that we want to deal with everybody else here. The numbers are not in our favor. I'm just going to help.
Why are you wasting your time helping? Anyway, we've got things to do.
What do we have to do? We're waiting for Maggie, right?
No, we need to find the Kenku. Why are we going to this golem thing? Who cares?
I figured
Construct.
you would go continue doing that because you have no interest in this, and I'm not going to be particularly helpful talking to Kenku.
Oh, right. Okay. Splitting up. Sweet. Let's do it.
Just stay within shouting distance. Don't start any fights.
So your plan is
We're waiting. We're killing time.
cooperate?
I'm bored. And she just starts picking stuff. No, she's not. She doesn't say that part. She just starts picking stuff up. And she says it to Shield. She's like, I have made a tactical decision that we don't want to fight everyone here.
Sounds like cowardice to me. Very
Does
well. I won't
Caution.
forget this.
Does
I'm
the
sure
golem
you
have
won't.
a mouth?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you do to
tube
help?
in it.
Because you walk over, and I think as you walk over, Bryn, at first a red cap tries to get in your way. Like a couple of them are like, "Where are you going? What are you doing?" And they like try to stand by your knees and try to block you. And then when it's clear that they don't have the physical strength, 2 of them climb up on top of each other. So there's a little stack of 3 of them. They're kind of like wobbling, and one of them waves in your face. Is like, "Hey, where do you think you're going? What's happening? Pay attention. Look, I'm up here now."
She looks at them and she says, I'm helping.
And the red cap's like, nobody asked you to help.
That's how helping tends to work.
And they like look
That's a
around
problem.
and they're like, listen, we're having a great time watching old Mickey here struggle. If you're gonna get in here and interrupt our fun, well, he shakes his head like,
oh, you're having fun, then you're definitely not working.
Bryn, actually, they have a point. What if Mickey doesn't want help?
Oh, you make a good point. Mickey, would you like help?
that is a complicated question. Let's see how much Mickey. I just typed fresh golem.
Kill me. Kill me.
Yeah, he's
My
like,
existence is
why
torment.
why was I programmed to feel pain? So let's see. Intelligence of 6. Okay.
Yeah, that's intelligent
Not-
enough to express stuff.
And I think I have there's art of Mickey and
Yeah, he's got like a weird
Mad-
tube on
Mad
his
Maggie.
face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're scary.
That's why I was checking if they had a mouth, because I just remember the weird tube face.
Yeah. So just so we know, we're not imagining like a regular flesh golem. That's Mickey there.
Pretty
So is it
cool.
just like weirdly muffled because he's got a tube on his mouth?
Yeah, I think he turns and like cocks his head. He knows he's being addressed, but then turns back to pulling the cart. And I think that the red caps say to you, Bryn, they're like, see, Mickey doesn't need any help at all. He's having a great time. We're all buddies here, aren't we, Mickey? Isn't that right, Mick? And one of the red caps like gives him a kick, like, yeah, come on. And he's like, "Ugh," and like pulls the cart.
Can I do an insight check on
yeah.
Mickey to see
Sure.
if like he's like intentionally like it doesn't bug me, or
Yeah.
if he's like I hate
make
everything?
make the roll.
So this is a
I
skill
like
check,
Dave's
right?
interpretation
Ability checks.
of kill me. Do you Sosrova, are you gonna cast that you can cast that spell?
No, I was just
You just wanted to see what
I
it
was
does.
trying to read it in case I needed it for the
that makes
character.
sense.
Like,
Okay.
probably
So
don't,
this is
'cause I do speak
an
common.
ability check, right?
It's a skill check.
Insight, is that ability check? No,
I'm not sure what's the context.
I'm exhausted.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You're a disadvantage.
Yes.
That's what I was checking.
Yes.
I get a 9.
Okay. You're looking for a level of complexity, emotional complexity that Mickey is not capable of expressing to you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I look at him when Bryn asks him if he wants help, and he just kind of like makes a noise and turns back. And I'm just like, huh.
So he walks a few steps and like stumbles a little bit. Like he looks like he has a limp or something. And he stumbles a little, and then the wheel comes off the cart, and then all the cart falls over. Now all this stuff doesn't fall out, just some of the stuff falls off the top, and Mickey turns around and makes a low, disappointed like Eeyore noise, like he's just like, and like turns around and like he limps over, and one of the red caps is like, look, he's doing it, do it, Mickey, and Mickey starts to walk, and then he kind of staggers sideways. And then tries to right himself and goes the other way too far and is like staggering back and forth. And the red caps are just laughing and like throwing shit and being like, they're like, this is the thing they were waiting for. They're just like, look at him. And he's
is
like,
this like
he's
you
like
playing Death Stranding?
He's stumbling. He seems to have a hard time walking and like staying up. And he does this weird like shuffling kind of hop thing. And he kind of swipes helplessly at some of the red caps to try to drive him off. And then he grabs the cart and he sticks the wheel back on. And and they're just like laughing and they're disappointed that he's not cavorting around anymore. And I think one of the red caps looks over at you, red faced and like chuckling, and he's just like, see, look, it's so funny. He can't even walk right.
Well, if you were torn apart and put back together incorrectly, you probably wouldn't be able to walk right either.
He squints at you. He's like, that's not how it works.
We could find out.
The other red caps all kind of look at each other like, oh, really? Could we?
For science. Not right now. I'm sure there'll be a time and a place where you will also be part of the wonderful blood war that you have going on here.
And they all kind of like look at each other. You notice some of them have taken their weapons out and they're just like, are you threatening us? Is this a fight? It's like being started by a bunch of like tiny Joe Pesci's.
Like the kindergartners from recess.
Like they just really want to fight you and they're looking for any excuse, but you're not quite giving it to them. So they're just like, are we going to fight or what's going on?
Well, I'm sorry I can't help. And that Mickey doesn't want help. I suppose enjoy the rest of your work.
What?
And one of them near the back is like, this is boring. Let's go fight something. And that sort of spreads through the group. And the last one, the one closest to you, Bryn, looks up at you and he's like, this ain't over. And then all the red caps kind of like clomp, clomp, clomp because they have their big iron boots. They all stomp away.
What is their work exactly?
Yeah.
Bryn just sort of
really care all that much.
Bureaucrats.
I certainly don't.
And you can hear the squeaking and the low kind of moan of Mickey as he drags the cart off around a pile of junk. To either go pick up some junk or drop off some junk. I don't know.
Junk, really.
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say, yeah. We're not really sure how any of this junk fits together.
Did Sosorovo and Sathra head off?
I wandered off, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's cut to them. Where did you go? Sosorovo and Sathra?
I'm making sure Sosorovo doesn't get in any fights with any red caps. This is mostly what I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm going to start fights.
I know you're not going to start them, but the red caps might start them. And if you're by yourself, that would be unfortunate, I feel like.
All right. Chaka, Clunk, Kanku, Squawk. Like, where you at? Like, you got to be around here somewhere. It's where you live.
So yeah, you're walking around shouting for them, and I think you see and hear, and this, it'll be interesting that this is something that Sosorovo is the first to experience. So you're wandering, and you wander back behind one of these piles of rubble, right? It's a junkyard, so you're wandering between piles of semi-sorted. Sometimes they seem to be sorted by color, right? It's like, here's all the dark brown. Here's all the light brown junk. Here's all the gray junk. But in other places, they seem to be organized by function. Here's a pile of swords right next to a pile of spikes. This is the overlap between the spike and sword pile where we're not sure which is which. There's the glaive department. There's the guisarmes department. Can you guess where the glaive guisarme department is? So there's just all this stuff piled up. But out in the open, and they've pulled like an oiled sort of tarp off of it so they can work on it. Out in the open is something that looks like the front end of an enormous like beast. It looks like the jaws of a terrible beast. On the front of it has big metal slashing pieces on the top and bottom, like jaws. And then along its side are 3 enormous wheels, getting bigger as it goes back. And then it has almost like a tail, like a scorpion tail at the back, but instead of just the spike, it's got a huge iron ball hanging off of it, and that's resting in the junk. And it looks like these two are working on this thing. And the smaller of the two, the smaller Kenku of the two, is up on top, and he's got big goggles strapped to his face under like above his beak. And he's wearing big gloves and has some kind of metal wand or something with sparks coming off of it. And he keeps like, he's touching it to the surface of the thing. And then down below, the bigger of the two is pacing back and forth nervously and like looking up and then looking down and looking up and like walking back and forth while the one up top is like fixing this thing. And neither of them notice you, Sathra and Sosrova, as you come around the corner.
That's a weird thing. Wheels. It's like a cart, but spiky. That's weird.
Do you want me to get their attention, or are you?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I speak, but no, I don't. Hey! I bat one on the shoulder. The one who's pacing.
Okay. Yeah. So he stops, and yeah, is there art of these two? Let me check and see.
Yeah, we saw
The
it last
Kenku,
time.
yeah,
We've
saw
seen
it
them,
last
right?
time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here they are.
There's like a metal beak over his beak.
Chukka and Clonk. Yeah. So yeah, you like tap one of them on the shoulder, the big one, and he turns and looks down at you, and he makes a little like sort of startled chicken noise, and then squawks something at the one up top, who looks and pulls his goggles off and squints down at you, and he says, "No time to rest. Work." And he puts the goggles back on and keeps doing what he's doing.
No, it's cool. You do have time. It'll be real quick, and then we'll stop bothering you, or we could help, or something. I don't know. What? Give and take.
And
I don't know why we're here.
He stops again and he looks. Same thing. Pulls the thing and he looks, and he looks at you, sees the group, and he says, "Okay, first one's free." And he starts climbing down with his tool bag, and hops to the floor. And the other one, the big one, is over there and immediately takes the tool bag from him, and he kind of like rotates his shoulder. And he looks at you and he says, "I ain't getting any younger."
No, nobody really does. That's not how the passage of time. Anyway, where did you find the Holophant, the yellow flying? She's with us because I wouldn't have not taken her because we're finding out what she's doing.
And he looks and he points just away. And he says, "Out there in the wide world, sometimes you meet people, strangers, all over the place. Somebody to bring home to mother."
Great. Okay.
Do you have a more exact kind of location or a landmark or something?
Yeah, a landmark would be good. They move, but they don't move.
And he says, it's like, "In this place, sometimes even the world plays by its own rules."
Right. Okay.
I'm sure it does.
So, Sathra, our one lead is that Lulu remembers these creatures. They don't know where they've met her. We're looking for something that doesn't exist anymore because it got hidden in a place where everything changes.
Yes, that sounds accurate.
I'm going to be really honest. I have no idea what I'm doing.
No, likewise, I was just going to wait for the hag to be done and then have whatever conversation that was going to be. Because
maybe
this
she
one...
needs chores done or something, and she'll tell us things. I don't know.
And so
people ask us to do
while
things.
you're talking, the Kinku is like, he's nodding, and he says to you, Sosrovo, he says, he taps his head and he says, suffering memory problems? Try hags. Side effects may include death.
No, my memory's actually fine. I have a system.
No, not you. Friends. Always think of friends first. And he gestures, and we see a little gold comet kind of like fly by in the background as Lulu buzzes the scene, and I think we can hear at a great distance. Lulu says,
"There's so much stuff to look at."
and she's just like just buzzing around up above. And so Chukka or Clonk, it's hard to say, points and is like, for friends.
So you are her friends. She wasn't really sure.
And he turns and looks at you and he says, emotions are complicated.
Yeah. No,
and unnecessary.
Apparently. Well, if it's just... I don't know, we're just going to use magic to fix Lulu's brain. I could have done that myself ages ago. Maybe I should, actually. I was wondering if I might be able to.
How much do you know about Holophant-specific memory problems? Because I feel like that is a very narrow field.
Like, literally none. I've never seen a Holophant before. But for some reason, the way in which different creatures' brains process thoughts and the way that I can perceive them is universal.
It's magic.
Fair enough.
All right, let's go.
And so when you say that, so this conversation the two of you are having, Chukka or Clonk, hard to say, is listening, and as you're like, you kind of shift your tone into a like, okay, well, let's go. The bird person in front of you waves his arms and says, it's like, wait, you're a wizard, and points at you.
Yes.
And he turns and he says, the old gal's been having some problems. And he gestures at the machine. And then says, and these are shifting voices, like obviously like he's mimicking different people.
Yeah.
Right. And so he shifts in a different voice. He says, friends help friends. And he gestures at the machine, hopefully like, you're a wizard, fix it.
Sure, I can stay here and fix a thing. I'm intelligent enough. That's what my specialty is in terms of a statistic.
Are you, so Sorovo, if I go and deal with something else, are you safe here?
Yeah. Ish. I mean, we're literally in a hell.
I'm going to go and see if any of those idiots in the tower have any arrows. You know, the ones on the wall.
Yeah. All right, great. Let's see what this thing is. Okay. What bit do I look at first?
I just walk away.
Yeah. Okay. So we stick around with Sosrovo for a minute, and Chukka walks you back over, or Clonk. I think the big one is Clonk. Chukka walks you over and gestures at the machine proudly, and says, "She doesn't look like much, but she's got it where it counts. Demon grinder."
Where did you learn that phrase?
And he chuckles. He makes a little like bird laughing sound. And
He
it's the
says,
first.
"A long
I
time-
only know this phrase, not the way to explain this phrase.
Well, he chuckles in that way that like it sounds like a bird laughing. Like it sounds like that creepy crow like chuckling, and looks down at you and says, "You're one ugly mother." And turns back to the machine to like look at it.
Great. Yeah, thanks. Okay. So what do you actually need me to do?
And he crouches down to your level and looks at you very seriously, and he gestures and he says, "Use your special eyes."
Oh. What, this is magical? I thought it was specifically not. Let's bing, detect magic.
Yeah. Okay. So you cast detect magic, and you can see that under, I mean, the whole thing has a kind of strange, like, the whole thing is semi-magical in the sense that it's in hell and it's made out of like hell metal and stuff. But the magic you can see is the like fuel lines and stuff within it. There is this glowing like energy kind of matrix underneath it. It's actually quite beautiful despite being like kludged together. It's obviously drawing power from a central magical source that involves necromantic magic in some way. You'd have to get in there and like actually examine the engine, but that's not what the problem is. Something in the network is causing a problem. Something in the like flow of energy is causing a problem. If you want to examine it, you can make an Arcana or an investigation check.
I would love to. I think both of those are the same. Seeing if I have anything that would be relevant as a modifier to this. No, if I've got like a bunch of things that like keen mind, cunning, blah 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 blah. They don't actually give you things on knowledge checks. So,
yeah.
Let's roll. Oh, I have an inspiration. I'm going to use it because I didn't know I had it. Sweet deal.
Okay.
Vestimigation. We'll roll a 19.
19. Okay, not bad. Yeah, so here's their problem, right? So most of the material here has to it a structured kind of energy. Despite being like clearly and obviously malignant and villainous, right? Despite giving you the willies, most of the components are using the same magical polarity. I need like a tech jargon way of saying this, but basically their magic is aligned in one particular way. There is a single piece inside the machinery that is using the wrong kind of energy. It is a more, let's say, chaotic energy. There's a gear jammed into one of the machines that seems to be made out of the spines of a demon, maybe, and it's jammed up and it's producing the wrong kind of polarity of energy, basically. It's like if 99% of the machine was made to the voltage of one country and then they plugged it in the wrong country. So it needs to be like removed or purged or something. And they're trying mechanical fixes, but this is like a fundamental, you bought the wrong part.
Okay. Do I want to waste my 4th level spell slot on a... Why is it not saved? What's going on with the spells? It rolled back slightly. I have some different spells than this, actually. Let's write it down.
I think you can just tell them that it's the wrong part instead of like fixing it necessarily.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that they can't recognize it means they won't know how to fix it either.
I did have this. Which one of these two did I get rid of? I got rid of that one. Yeah, just rolled back slightly. So I will use my spell because I too. Are there any? Looking around at the junk piles, can I see any raw materials that do have the correct polarity of magic?
It's interesting because you are you know what the problem is, but you don't know how to fix it mechanically because you don't know how this thing works or what it's for, right? Like you don't have the expertise required to use that to have that knowledge.
Oh, okay. I could just spell it. then it wouldn't give out chaotic energies.
Let's
do that.
Yeah, you want to try to cast Dispel Magic on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll attempt to dispel some magic.
Nice. Okay. All right. So you cast the spell. You weave your magic around this particular not broken, but like if this were a demon in a engine, then they'd be working. But you focus on the individual part, and once the spell takes place, it finishes. The hellish glow fades from that piece, and the whole machine gives off like a powerful, deep roar. You watch the gear start to spin, and then a big plume of smoke gushes out of the back of the machine, and the two of them, Chukka and Clonk, both like laugh and clap their hands, and Chukka turns to you and grabs you by the shoulders and says, "A winner is you!" and points at the machine like laughing, and then says, "Thank you."
Wow, actually being thanked for using my magic. That's like it's been many years. You're welcome.
And Chukka turns to Clonk and nodding and turns back to you and puts a hand on his chest and says, "I would like to thank the Academy and this gnome and myself for all the hard work we did." And Clonk shoves Chukka's bag back at him, and Chukka like stumbles and looks at you and says, "Everybody's a critic," and then throws the bag over their shoulder and starts to climb back up the side of the engine.
So you said a gorger. What does it do apart from forwards? And like I could see wheels. It's a transport of some kind.
So Clonk turns and looks at you and says, for the first time, we haven't heard Clonk speak, solemnly, "It kills." And gives you a stern nod, and then lights a cigarette and puts it in his beak like, "Yeah," and then his sunglasses come down and he rides off.
Wow. A lot of work. You just... All right, cool. I'm going to go and tell the old lady that I helped you, so now maybe she'll give me something in return. I don't know.
So meanwhile, Bryn and November, what do you do after you help, or after you drove off the red caps? I don't know, you really helped, Mickey. You just...
I feel like just once that's done, my idea would just be like continue following along in the path of wherever Sosorovo and Sathra went, right?
Yeah.
Because that was our only real plan, unless like, I guess, can I just like take a look around and like see if there's anything else that's interesting or catches my eye?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it just like can I just do that, or a perception check, or what?
I mean, are you looking for anything in particular, or are you just getting a handle on the place? Like just wandering around?
Just kind of getting a handle on the place, like see like if there is other things that look interesting to pursue, or if it's literally like there were these red caps and then also Chukka and Clonk, and that's kind of like the lay of the land sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So Bryn,
is there a person with an exclamation point above their head?
Yeah.
I will say this: Mad Maggie's camp is full of people with exclamation marks over their head. So the two of you, you're wandering around. You're like, I wonder where Sosorova and Sathra went. And you go wandering out to look for them, and you notice. I think November, you're the one that notices this. You notice that Maggie's birds, she has two of them. They are observing you, but always at a bit of a distance. So you'll be like, "Hey, those are Mad Maggie's birds up on that tree." And then you'll leave and go to another area. And you're like, "Wait a second. Are those the same birds sitting on that rusted motorcycle?" So they're following you around, watching you as you wander the junkyard.
After I notice it, can I like attempt to speak to them and be like, "You can come closer. It's not a problem. You don't have to be so subterfuge." No, that's not the word.
As soon as you start doing that, so Bryn's like, "Oh, are those Mad Maggie's birds?"
I mean, I am a druid, so I would recognize one crow from the other, and yes, they are specifically her birds.
Do you want to try to coax them over?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
make
like I
a-
can actually speak to them, so it maybe is a little more effective.
Yeah, make a persuade check.
Persuade. Well, I'm not as good at that. What about animal handling?
No. You
They're not
cannot.
animals.
You cannot animal handle in this case.
Okay. Well, I get a 10.
Okay. All right. So they kind of like, the birds like look at each other, and one of them, in a very small but unmistakably human voice. Actually, no, you know what I think? I think you might hear this just in your brain. And if that's the case, they would definitely. Let me double check on how these little things communicate. They're like the only two birds in hell. What a shame. Let's see here. Here we go. No, they have to speak out loud. Okay.
Okay.
Do you speak infernal?
I believe that's the one I do speak. Yes.
Bryn, do you speak
Yes,
infernal?
I do.
Okay. So Bryn, you don't understand. One of the birds speaks the devil language of devils. He speaks the evil alignment tongue and says to you.
Yeah, Bryn recognizes what language it is because she speaks Celestial, but she doesn't
The
understand.
lawful evil alignment tongue.
That's right. I think by the time we had fragmented alignments, we didn't have alignment languages anymore. But yeah, close enough. So you hear, November, you hear in your head, hey, so we could really use your help, but ditch the paladin.
Can I make... I feel like I want to make a wisdom save to know if my exhaustion is going to affect my, like, should I ditch the paladin who is probably a good friend?
I don't care if you need rolls to justify your bad decisions. You can go ahead and do that so you can blame the dice.
I just make bad decisions.
Yeah, I was about to say,
elf.
That's true. I think that, yeah, I would fictionally say my brain's addled enough to be like, that sounds like a fine proposition.
I like Chat's headcanon that infernal just sounds like random black metal songs you've never heard before. One of the crows opens his mouth and you just hear like birdsum come out. Except they're crows, so it's birdsum.
I think that I like stretch a little bit and be like, I think I'm just gonna go sit in the shade if you want to figure out what Sosorovo is up to.
Bryn, you hear in your mind.
The tiefling betrays you. She's trying to get rid of you. I don't trust her. You shouldn't either.
Bryn is not the best at insight. Actually, she's
But also, like, when has she ever taken advice from the shield?
Yeah, she never takes advice from the shield. And she's like,
listen, I'm just looking out for you. And if I suggest you should do a bunch of heroin, you probably should just do it.
literally only look out for me.
Such a nice guy.
Physically put your face in
I got all this free heroin just laying around. Why don't we just do some? No, I don't want any. Just, it's for you.
Bryn just like shakes her head a little bit, and then looks at November, and she's like, "Of course," and we'll like walk her over to whatever the nearest shade is, and be like, "Should I get you some water? Do you need anything?"
Oh, I have my water skin.
Okay,
it's fine.
And then
I
because
sit
like
there
a
looking
little
like
part
a
of
little...
her is like, November's an adult. And
So when you hesitate, before you have a chance to say anything, you hear again that voice in your head.
Now is our chance. Grab this fool by the throat. Show her we'll kill her if she betrays us. You need to work on your management skills. Come on.
You need to work on your friendship skills. And she says that out loud. And then she looks at November.
Right, so November, you hear Bryn say, you need to work on your friendship skills.
Sorry, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the shield again.
I just wanted to talk to some birds.
No,
Listen to the weakness in her voice. We don't need friends like this.
I'll be here if you need me. But a way, you know, you're an adult. You can do what you want. And she just like walks away. Just like, I don't think it matters, but she puts the shield on backwards. So I was like talking to her. She likes to imagine the front of the shield is actually the mouth. So like before she like stuffs something on it, she's like, stupid talking shield.
Yeah.
Talking head. Where's the sign from heavens? Goes and kicks the dirt and the rocks for a little while, and it's like, just...
Yeah. So you don't even hear anything. You just feel Gargoth's disappointment in you. Like You weakling. So you walk off, and then November, once Bryn is out of sight, these two birds fly down and land next to you, and they both do a little like wing curtsy, or they like tuck their beak and do a little bow to you. And one looks up and in infernal says to you, what are these guys' names? They have silly names too. I think it's Pins and Needles. Yeah. So one of them says, well met, lady. I am Needles. This is my sister Pins. And Pins is like, just damn it, Dave. So Dave put in chat pickle pea and pumperum, and now that's all I can think of. Listen, we have a quest for you. You need to bring us that soft. Don't drop it.
God.
So yeah, says I'm Needles. This is my sister Pins. We could use your help.
With what?
Well, so here's the thing. You may not realize it, but you're in grave danger. You and your friends.
She just like does a little like gasp face, like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that.
And he says, now I can help you get out of danger. We both can, but you need to help us. Thankfully, our goals align.
Wait, what are my goals in this case?
Well, I assume you want to get out of here alive. If you were suicidal, there are a lot faster ways to get yourself killed in Avernus.
Get out of like this specific Fort Knucklebone
he
or all
nods.
of Avernus?
He nods and he says, we just don't want to see you buried at the bottom of one of these junk piles. It's happened before when somebody brought something here that Mad Maggie wanted.
Oh, shit.
And he nods and he says, yes, you're beginning to understand. So
why? She didn't give me like a hard time for it, but why could my friend not be here for this?
And they kind of look at each other and they're like, everybody knows you can't trust a paladin in hell. They're only here to do one thing, and that's stomp on devils and cause trouble.
She's never stomped on me.
Okay. All right. Let me reframe this for you, okay? So
was it that one time when you asked?
No. I was gonna say there was that one time when she accidentally stepped on my tail, but I'm pretty sure that was an accident. It was very dark.
So Needles says, "Listen, let me recontextualize this for you. Imagine you're sitting at home in, I don't know, wherever the hell you're from, and a creature from another plane tears a hole in reality and comes storming inside and just starts just killing everybody you know, just stabbing them with their sword and shooting fire out of their, everywhere, and just killing everybody. It'd be a good reason to be scared, right?
I'd be quite scared. Yes.
Yeah, well, let me just tell you this. You might think that Avernus is just this terrible place where bad stuff only ever happens, and maybe they told you that this is where you get sent if you do bad things in real life, but this is where we live, man. And people like your friend, they're dangerous. We don't really have a lot of room for the zealous around here. Anyway, we just don't trust her, and we knew we could trust you. You like animals, right? You wouldn't want to see a couple of innocent birdies get hurt.
No.
So listen, me and my sister, and she just like clucks at you.
All the innocent birdies I've ever met speak infernal.
Yeah, it's true.
Shut up, racist. So he says to you, he's like, boy, it's good that Sathr's not here so we can get away with this. He says, listen, we just want to make sure that you and your friends, even your paladin friend, get out of here okay. Because here's the thing. How much do you care about that big sparkly football you're carrying around?
I look down at my hands like, what?
And the one of the birds like shakes his head. He's like, no, not that one. And looks up. And again, we see the comet go by. And we just hear, whee! As Lulu like whing, flies by. And says,
I mean, she's kind of a little bit racist, but I really think there's hope for her.
Right. Well, hope it's hard to find down here. And listen. Here's the thing. You can't trust the red caps. Now you came at a good time. There's usually a lot more of them around here, but Maggie's got them out on a scavenging mission. They won't be back for a couple of days. But if you're still here when they get back, oh boy, they are going to dip their hats in your blood. I've seen it before. It's not pretty. And you and your friend, Lulu, you're never getting out of here. But, and he like looks around and he hops a little closer to you conspiratorially. And he says, there's a red cap. Name's Wazik. He's the one. He's going to try to capture that Lulu. They want to kill it, cut it open, and we'll do blood stuff like red caps do. So if you want to protect your friend, the best thing you can do is kill Wazik. Just get rid of him. The red caps, without him, it'll take them a while to find a new leader. And while they're doing that, you and your friends can get the hell out of here.
Kill him?
And the bird nods and says, it's the only way.
What about just, I don't know, putting him to sleep for a while?
Yeah.
I've done that before.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to really do it.
Can I insight check the birds?
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
At disadvantage because I'm tired.
Because you're tired.
You know what? Bryn believes in you. I'm gonna just give you my inspiration so you.
Yeah,
don't
you want to? Okay. All
right.
Oh,
okay. Well, if you'd given me your inspiration, then it would have been not at disadvantage. So that's a 17.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see the roll.
Yeah, it's okay. You started talking before Blue Jay rolled.
You
okay.
Did, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not only are they lying, they're not even birds. Like. These
Cool.
are not, they're not even real birds.
Of course they're not even birds.
They're shape-shifted something or other, but they're not really, they're acting like little kids pantomiming pretending to be birds.
Oh God, are these like the kids from Nightmare Before Christmas?
Kind of, yeah. I think that's a good vibe. They're lock, stock, and barrel, I think they're called. Yeah. So they're like little kids in bird Halloween costumes, but they are like, I mean, no one else would be able to tell. And so, yeah, so they look at each other and they nod as you're examining them and they're like, yeah, Wazik's the problem. If you kill him, all the rest of the red caps will start treating you with some respect. That's how it works around here. We're only lucky because we're Maggie's favorites. But you know, if you help us out, given that we're her favorites and everything, we could put in a good word for you.
So I don't end up at the bottom of a junk pile.
I mean, Maggie's good people. She wouldn't do that to you. Well, unless you cross her, but you haven't crossed her yet. And she's real curious about Lulu. So, listen, protect your friend, kill Wazik. Maggie's gonna love it. It works out great for everybody. So, listen, you just go convince your friends that Wazik's gonna kill Lulu. You kill Wazik, we put in a good word, you save your friend, and listen. And they hop a little closer and they're like, listen, if you do this, they're gonna start respecting you. I seen the way they look at you, like you don't belong, like you're evil. Now's your opportunity. You can prove to the rest of your friends just how important and integral you are. Don't you want that?
Yes.
And the birds nod at each other and they're like, all right, so we got a plan. Me and you, my sister. And she just goes like,
And what do you two get out of me doing this again?
all right, I'm gonna level with you. We don't like Wazik very much. It's always pulling our feathers.
It's not very nice.
So you help us. You help your friends. Everybody loves you. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. We'll even point them out to you.
Right. Okay.
Like, okay, you understand, or like, okay, you're gonna do it.
Both?
Promise?
I will do my best.
And the birds look at each other and they kind of shake their head and they're like, this is sensitive information. If we just tell you about this and you say you're going to try, well, we gotta know we can trust you. So you gotta promise you're gonna kill Wazik for us.
I promise I will take care of this problem.
By killing Wazik.
What do I say? I feel like November is like trying to be like, I'm not really gonna do this, but how do I say that I'm not gonna do it?
Just pretend to faint.
You know, I don't feel well.
I don't feel so good.
Shoot a fireball at you.
I think I need to talk to my lawyer.
Well, what if
Ronnie, I got these two birds here. They're trying to get me to promise something. Can you yeah.
I can't promise that I will kill Wazik, but I can promise that he'll be taken care of.
And they nod like, "Oh yeah, we understand. I mean, you're a kind and gentle soul. That's why we came to you, because we knew you'd be able to help. Nobody else around here cares about a couple of mangy birds. So you promise that either you do it or you get one of your friends to do it, but you're going to get rid of Wazik for us, right? You're going to kill him? That's going to solve everybody's problems."
I do want to solve everybody's problems, yes.
So you promise then?
Yes, I promise.
And they look at each other and nod and they're like, "Done deal. All right. Well, come and find us when the business is done. We'll make sure Mad Maggie knows what you did for us."
Okay.
And yeah, and then they fly off. Flutter.
I promise that I want to solve everybody's problems. It's true.
Excellent. All right. So as these two birds flutter away, we linger for a moment. Everybody got shuffled. We'll fix it later. We will come back and we will see how we deal with Wazik when we return. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.